And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alicia. Welcome. Alicia is on our board. She is the programs chair. She's got so much wonderful experience and has presented at APMP BBC in the past. And unfortunately, she couldn't make it to BBC this year to do her presentation. So I'm just excited to be able to sit and listen to her present today.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Just making sure that everyone can hear me okay.
Yes, I
Do the
can.
thumbs up. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, as Rachel said, I'm Audalicia Phillips. I'm a proposal operations manager and business and professional speaking coach for a company called SMX. We are a large business. We primarily do defense work, but we also have state and local and commercial service lines. And we operate in cloud, migration, modernization, and managed services, engineering, IT, and C6 ISR. I'm looking forward to presenting some approaches to developing win themes. I know it can always be a challenge for organizations and proposal managers, capture managers to be able to develop a win theme. And I've worked with my team to create a formula that we've used on multiple proposals, and it's been very successful. It does take a little forethought and some time in advance, but when used, it's been really successful. So thank you again, and I'm looking forward to our conversation. I'd really like to invite you to participate by answering questions or providing your perspective as we go through the slide deck. So let's begin. Kind of an introduction. So what is a win theme, right? A win theme is really a short statement that articulates to your customer why your solution is really the best choice for them. It should align your strengths with the customer's priorities, emphasizing your value, your differentiation, and provide that proof that you've done this before. And so they matter because they're really going to capture the intention of the evaluator and reinforce the evaluation criteria. We know that proposals are not read, they're scored. And so a lot of the times they're not necessarily reading all of the content that you've written. You have to have it in there from a compliance standpoint, but they're the box kind of. So if you align your win themes and integrate them correctly into your response, it makes it easy for the evaluator to score your proposal. And you always want to
Alicia,
tie,
I'm
yes.
so sorry. Oh, are you presenting? I can't see a slide.
Oh, let me share my screen. Sorry.
I've
Okay, there we go.
been
Okay,
guilty of it.
there you go. All right. Can you see it now?
Yes,
Okay.
I can.
Perfect. Okay. And then, so you always want to tie your solution to the customer's mission. So whatever that is, and that's primarily going to come from your business developers, your capture managers. Those are the individuals who are really entrenched with the customer and should have a good understanding of what that mission set is and what the hot buttons are, which we will talk about in upcoming slides. And this is really where you differentiate yourself from your competition. A lot of our competitors, we all provide similar services, but you have to really discern kind of what is it about your organization that makes you different and how is that important to your customer. One thing I drive in with my team is that the customer is not buying a solution per se, they're buying outcomes. So how does this benefit them? What are they going to get from your solution, whether it's reduced risk, cost savings, automation, efficiency, whatever that is, it's really tied to what are they going to get and how can you use compelling statements that articulate how your solution really drives those outcomes for the customer. So I'm going to begin with some opening questions to the group, and feel free to share your perspective or write in the chat. So, how many of you have had the opportunity to write a proposal, like win themes for your proposal? And what was the biggest challenge in developing them? So, does anyone want to chat about that or add some content to the chat? Yes, Caroline.
I always struggle with translating like the features that we offer to what the customer's pain points are, like identifying those pain points and making sure that our win theme addresses that. And it's not just like, oh, our company does this really, really well.
Yeah, I can understand how that can be a challenge, and the formula that I'm going to provide can help you do that. Anyone else?
I was going to add that with my team, with our geospatial work, a lot of their win themes, they're stuck on the idea of experience. We've been there, done that, and our quality.
Mhm.
Getting them past that hurdle is a huge challenge, and getting them to think further than that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Let's see, in the chat we have, it's sometimes hard to find differentiators that are not something everyone else can claim. Yeah, that is definitely. And then, yes, experience, we're also local. Yeah. A lot of that can, really be a challenge. And also, I think the biggest challenge for us is time. So, a lot of our business developers and capture managers are managing multiple proposals. And to be able to really do win themes right, you have to dedicate the time to dissect what those evaluation criteria are, what the hot buttons are, what's your approach, and what makes you different, and then how does that benefit the customer, and then following up with your delivered experience to show proof that you've done it before. So it really takes time. Who's responsible for developing your win themes? Really, the person who is responsible is the capture manager. However, I usually come in and support, but the proposal manager is a supporting function, but the capture manager owns the responsibility because that person should be the one who is closest with the customer to be able to develop the win themes. But it is collaborative. All right, next question. So when you hear the term win theme, what comes to mind? Like, how would you describe what a win theme is from your perspective? And how do you integrate them into your response? Anyone?
I usually just kind of think of it's the solution. It's the why my company and not someone else. When you have lots of people bidding on it, what is your value proposition that you're giving to the government that convinces them that you're the best person to do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's really it and it can be more than that, right? So it's the value proposition, and that it is the solution, but it's all tied together. Like really bringing it back to the customer and having that customer perspective is incredibly important. Um, must be incorporated throughout. That is correct. And I'm going to show you some like ways that you can incorporate throughout the proposal in some screenshots that'll be at the end of this presentation. And so the final question, what makes a win theme stand out when you're reading it in the proposal? So how can you make it stand out? Is it clarity, relevance, innovation? Is there strategic formatting that you can use? Icons, yep. I've used that.
Consistency.
Consistency. You can use colors. Yeah, there's lots of ways to make them stand out besides like just bolding or assuming that the customer is going to be able to ascertain that the words, do the justice. So we'll talk about some ways that you can do that with some strategic, call outs weave throughout in a creative way, definitely. All right. So let's talk about exceptional win themes. So as we've stated, exceptional proposal win themes improve the points that matter to the customer. So it's all about that customer perspective. And they really help the customer see a future with you as their vendor. You're really trying to spoon feed them that this is what you are going to realize by choosing us. So you got to tell the customer what they're going to get and why they should select you, and that you are the best alternative. So here are some little examples, right? And we'll dive deeper into more, but you can use this as a starting point, right? We will enable you to overcome the challenge, and then you identify what it is by inserting your approach. And these are very simple statements, right? Obviously, they would be more complex, but if you're just trying to get the juices flowing, you can use something like this. And ask your capture manager or work on it yourself by pinging this, right? You could use by insert what you do, we mitigate risk of, identify the risk in such a way that, and then your differentiated outcome. Also, you can say, by anticipating, insert something insightful, whatever it is, we're able to prevent, mitigate, identify problem resulting in improved, and then quality outcome that delivers, and then the benefits, right? So these are some example sentences that you can use to start the conversation when thinking about win themes. So moving on. 6 examples of things you can do to write exceptional proposal win themes. So do not talk about yourself. Often we say, so often in proposals, we just assume that the customer knows us and they love us and they want to hear all about us and what we do and how good we are and all of that. Really, you want to put everything in perspective of how it impacts the customer. So it's more about the customer, less about you. I've done some word searches in some of my proposals where we've talked about SMX, I don't know, 100 something times. We have references to it, and then we reference the customer maybe I don't know, 20 times, depending on how long it is. I'm just throwing numbers out there. But you really should be talking about the customer more than you're talking about yourself. And so you want to say things that will help the customer justify their decision, right? Make it easy for them. As I stated in the beginning, proposals are scored, they are not read. So the easier you can highlight the win theme that is tied to the evaluation criteria, the easier it'll be for the evaluator to check the box and say, yes, they have this, yes, they have this, yes, they have this. And it'll make it look, like you're not really bragging about yourself, right? But you're really talking about the customer's perspective and how to integrate that into the evaluation criteria. And again, make it easy. And then again, customer, customer, customer. Make every statement matter to the customer. And focus on results and benefits that the customer will get or expect from you. I talked about outcomes, right? They buy outcomes. They don't buy your solution. So focus on those delivered outcomes, and it'll really help ensure that they can see that vision of what it's going to be like when you are their chosen vendor. And then make sure your themes impact the evaluation score. So always tie them to evaluation criteria if you have them. I'm working on a proposal right now. 0 evaluation criteria. We asked for evaluation criteria, and the customer's response was no, period. Which you're like, oh my gosh, how are we supposed to understand how this proposal is going to be scored if we don't have evaluation criteria? It's a state and local bid, so they have a little more flexibility in the way that they structure their requirements. But I can assure you that you guys probably get how frustrating that is. And then finally, the differentiation, proposal that shows how you are different from others. And you have to dig deep and really think about it. And a lot of this differentiation comes from doing a black hat review. So a black hat review is competitive analysis. Who are the potential vendors who are going to be competing against you? What are the services that they have? How are they similar to you? How are they different from you? Do a SWOT analysis looking at the strengths, opportunities, weaknesses and threats that customer provides. And really those can help provide you with the information so that you can take, like someone put in the chat, it seems like everything's very similar. If you do some digging, you should be able to find that, to demonstrate those differences and how you are the best alternative. And also looking at ghosting, right? So let's say you're going after an opportunity and you know that staffing has been a challenge and they haven't been able to staff at the appropriate levels, right? Then let's dig deep and find out what those staffing weaknesses are, and then developing a win theme showing how you have a dedicated, structured staffing approach that is going to, streamline their processes, ensure that they have everybody there on day one of contract start or whatever. So there's a lot of research that's involved. Any questions on these examples? All right, so let's get to the formula. I like to make it as easy as possible. And so this is the formula that I present to capture managers or when I'm working with a team. And it's like, okay, what is our feature and discriminator? What is the benefit that is derived by our customer plus the proof? And then that's going to equal the win theme. So using those three elements, tying them together, we can finally start crafting a statement that's going to be client-centric and that shows that we have that differentiated approach that benefits the customer, and then tying it together with the proof that we've been there and done that before. So this is some terminology. Most of you probably understand all of this, but let's go through it. So evaluation criteria in federal proposals is usually included in Section M, and this is the documented evaluation criteria. So this is how the government tells you that they're going to score and evaluate your proposal. So you obviously want to ensure that you have crafted your proposal to be able to meet all of these evaluation criteria. Hot buttons. So hot buttons are really like undocumented evaluation criteria. It may not be written in Section M, but through your business development and capture practices, you should really understand what are the customer's dislikes, what do they love, what is really important to them that they want to deliver with the contract. So understanding those hot buttons are really like the secret element of ensuring that you're speaking directly to the customer and their needs and their unspoken evaluation criteria. So your feature, that's any capabilities, tools, people, process, and technologies that your organization can provide that are favorably received by the customer. So you got to ensure that it's something that your customer wants and you're not just throwing a solution at the customer because that's what you have, right? So it has to be carefully crafted and ensure that it's something that is going to speak to those hot buttons, that evaluation criteria, and solve the problems that the customer has. They are issuing this RFP for a reason. They have a problem. They have a job that needs to be done. How does your feature solve that problem? How does that get the job done? The discriminator can be capabilities, tools, people, processes that no one else has or does that sets you apart from the customer. So that comes back to the research and the black hat competitive intelligence that you collect to show that you are different, that you are better, and that you can solve their problems in a way that no one else on the market can. And then the benefit. Why is this item in our proposal valuable to the customer with regard to like increased quality, decreased cost, schedule, decreased risk, whatever those elements are? What is the benefit, the outcome that the customer is going to receive? And finally, the proof point. So metrics, stories, or documentation we have that can successfully provide the product and the services. So this is going to be kind of the framework that you'll use, and you can put this into a table. You can do it in a PowerPoint presentation, but you'll fill these things out. So on the next slide, I'll show you kind of like how we did it. And this is just like a representative example. So let's say that my evaluation criteria is can range from technical criteria, right, in the approach and the total price and methods, right? So there we have that as our scoring mechanism. And then the hot button is that they've expressed a desire that they want to increase their production to 10,000 units by 2021, right? And our feature is that we have a facility that can do that. We are the only company who has been granted FedRAMP moderate approval for cloud managed services. And then the benefit is that the customer can reach their goal earlier than what they said. And then the proof is that we've, done it before. And again, this is just like a simple example that was that is used. You'd obviously put a lot more forethought and detail into your response. So all of those things together would, turn these elements into one statement that you can use and integrate. And what I usually do is I take no more than 4. It's usually 3 to 4 kind of win theme categories. So we'll have one that's surrounded about technical, one about management, and then the others are really customer dependent. It could be something like risk or transition. If you're trying to take over an incumbent contract and you know that transition is going to be a really big hot button, and sometimes that's the winning aspect. I know that we've lost a proposal that we were technically excellent on in all aspects, but the transition risk was too high, so we lost, right? So it's a good opportunity to write a win theme around transition if you're trying to unseat an incumbent. And so I pick those 4 categories, and then I go through the process, of filling out this, and then coming up with that final win theme at the end. And sometimes what I've done is I've highlighted within this, like where each of these lie. So again, we've talked about kind of hot buttons and the versus evaluation criteria. So, the evaluation criteria are stated. These are kind of the hot buttons are the unstated criteria, right? So one would be, I wouldn't be surprised if we took a 5% budget cut next year. So what does that mean to you when you hear that from the customer? Price is going to be important to them. I'm using agile development processes, but sometimes you need to get things out the door, right? So that states that, they want to drive efficiency and that, they're going to need some alternatives from agile development to be able to get something done. So these are kind of the unspoken stuff. The PM has more than one security breach on his watch. He is gone, right? So security is obviously going to be something that you should focus on. And then this one, the core attended a expo and came back with new ideas for cutting costs. Again, cost savings. So, trying to drive that efficiency. So on the next slide, this is how to integrate into a proposal. So some things that I do is at the beginning of every major section, I'll integrate a win theme statement and use strategic formatting by making it a different color, italicized, and putting it in the center of two long horizontal bars that kind of set it apart, and it sets the stage for the information that's going to follow. You can also use feature and benefits tables to call out what the specific features are of your approach and how that benefits the customer. And then call out boxes that align with your win themes. You can use success stories, integrate metrics, whatever you can do, and ensure that it aligns with the win theme, it aligns with the evaluation criteria, and it makes it easy for the customer to score. And then closing statements at the end of each major section. Sometimes I'll use like a long horizontal box and then drive home like just like that ending like punch, like we've been here, we've done it before, these are the delivered outcomes, and it stands out from the rest of the narrative, and it's shown by strategic formatting so that they can see it and they close out the section in a meaningful way, and hopefully it'll be something that they remember. All right, so to summarize, it makes proposals a lot easier to evaluate. And it also helps the writers. Sometimes the writers lose direction, right? And it's hard to keep them to focus on writing the right things, right? Often they can get into the weeds, but if you can kind of give them some boundaries and use the win themes to create that boundaries, it can be helpful in setting up the proposal section and giving them some guidance on what to focus on as they write the proposal. Executive summaries. So once you do this work, you can really tie all of your win theme statements into your executive summary. And it basically like writes the executive summary for you. So if you do that pre-work, it'll make it a lot easier to, tie it all up in that summary. And then the call out boxes, as I talked, placing them as appropriate in the proposal response, making sure that they're tied to the evaluation criteria and the theme that you want to enforce. And then using the win theme matrix, it really makes it easy to see when you have too many points on the same theme. It helps you to get out language that doesn't need to really be in there and focus the language that you're using. And then it allows for ideas to be broken up individually so that you can detail what they are, how they impact, and then you can play with the language moving forward. And then it also allows for team collaboration. So what I usually do is work with the capture manager, and then we'll have weekly meetings if we have that much far in advance, where we'll put up the matrix and we'll start filling it out, and we can really craft it together. And this is a good opportunity to build that cohesion pre-RFP with the team. And then it really helps you to write good, measurable, customer focused benefits. So it's a pretty quick presentation, but do you guys have any questions on anything that I've presented?
Just a big thank you. Those were great formulas. I really appreciate that. In fact, I'm going to use it in my call next week on win themes. So
Awesome.
perfect timing. Thank you. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Rachel. I found like if you really take the time to dissect it, it can make it a lot easier. It just takes that foresight. And I know that time sometimes is, a scarcity that we have. But if you can, even at a very high level, just jot down examples, and you don't have time to like really dive deep, just get it into, like a brainstorm, right? And then you can use it and integrate it into your proposal. Yes, let me check with my organization to see if I can send these slides out. I want to make sure that that's approved before sending them. But I could possibly send out like a summary that includes like the formula and some of the statement examples, so that you can use kind of more of a high level template than like a branded thing.
That would be great, Adelicia. And if you send a copy to me, I can put that up in our content library with the recording.
Yay. Okay, good. It'll probably take me a little bit. I'm in the like fire of a high visibility proposal that there's like lots of executive pressure on. So it may take me a little bit of time, but I will definitely get that to you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm so glad that people found that this was helpful. If you do have any questions for me, I'm going to put my email in the chat.
And while she does that, I want to remind everyone that's on the call, stay on the call because we will be giving away our $25 gift card for attending the call today.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing. So feel free to reach out to me via email. I'm happy to help walk you through. If you have some ideas and you just want, okay, how do I put this into the formula? I can help you do that. More than happy to give you some guidance on it. I know it's challenging. It's taken me a long time to figure this out and do it in a way that's digestible. So I found that this has been a way that's been pretty easy. In theory, sometimes it can be challenging, but that's why we are hired to do what we do, because we do hard things and we do them well.
Well, thank you for breaking